How you doing, everybody? It's your boy, Seth Power. We're back with another one of these videos, and I know it's been a while. It's been exam week. I had to do some things, and to be fair, to be completely honest, I have gotten a little lazy at some points, believe it or not. This episode, I was wanting to do this video. Technically, in the last video, I just wanted to be done with the map, and I just couldn't get done, and I wanted to do something as a special feature. So in the last episode, while I was making that one, I was thinking, what can I do to make this episode any different and still worth watching to somebody out there? Okay, I think I got it. I think I got something this time. I came up with districts. So before we actually start making the districts, I'm going to outline my plan for you. That was, of course, the first video that I ever made in the Chasy Trapman series, as well as this entire channel as a whole. Tell you what is about to happen. We've been focusing on this map for quite some time now. Quite some time. How about we discuss what's going to be on the map? So, yeah, great lead-in, I suppose. I don't really want to start with that, though. Yeah, I know, I'm padding this video. That's why I don't like this video. I feel like it's padding. It's just, it's filler. I can't take this. Can we just skip this one? What do you mean that there's still things that we need to do in the map? I know. Okay, so we're going to put the actual discussion of the districts at the end of the video. I'm going to show you all the districts. I'm going to draw on the map a little bit. It's going to be super fun and cool and cute. You kind of got a bit of a taste for where some things might be in the first episode, although I didn't really discuss the districts there. I'm going to do it, but at the end of the video, so you have to stick around just to know what's going to happen. And throughout the video, I'm going to talk perhaps about some ideas that I have for certain districts. Yeah, I know. If you don't want to wait, just click ahead. You know, maybe somebody's so kind to put the timer in the comment section. And just think about it. Yeah! Wow! Whoa! Woo! Here we are looking at that highway connection right next to the swamp, a very new, cool, unique area that has never been built before, at least not by me, and I don't really know of anybody else who has actually made a swamp inside of the game. Oh, wow, really cool. Oh, wow, that's really unique and interesting. You know, just gotta dress up that map a little bit right next to that big crevasse. The original idea was just to put farmland there, but as I said before, big open space, not very interesting. You can look straight into the distance of that edge of the map. Doesn't look very cool, doesn't look very nice, and we gotta play with heights, we gotta play with terrain, just to make the area look a little interesting. And it allows me to use this crazy colored brush, which creates this awful electric green color, but it's perfect for a dingy, swampy area, just to give the area a little bit more mystique. Later on, I want to build a little bit of a town, a little bit of a rundown town, or a settlement of some sort, which has a little bit of a creepy vibe to it. A little bit of you don't want to go over and cross the ravine, because on this side, that side with the swamp, some derelict, anguishing, terrible things have happened there. Something like that. I don't know. Come on. Just something unique. You never see people do scary things. They always do the happy, cheerful, look at this city, it's completely green and cool. No. Sometimes there's something that's not good. You know? Something folkloric. And that gives character to your city, and that's what I want. Damn it. Obligatory Halloween reference out of the way. Beautiful. How about a song? Play us out. What's that mean, to play us out?
Oh, I've tried, but dearest mine, you would know it all too well. As soon as they call, I ran out through the door and then lose myself therein. Meanwhile, my dear, you sit in your chair made from stone and wood that never could break, and you patiently wait till I've reached your home, broken, lost and alone. these ideas we had too much. To quoting your words, the more we learn, the more we have to doubt. So I sit in your couch and breathe with closed eyes till I've reappeared. And hours will pass before we've amassed all them days and thrown them far, far away. While retaining it as it is. So I tell you, my dear, this time have no fear and jump on the horse as high as before and ride out through the door and pull them down the fences one by one.
In a weird mood. I recorded that first section where I was talking like a week ago while it was like in the middle of the exams week and I was really busy, but it's like yeah, if I focus right now I can finish this episode, and it took me at least an hour to get that right, and after so many takes and I'm still not happy with it. I was so angry, and you can actually tell by how I'm talking that I'm angry. After that I decided to just quit because it was not going to work, so my apologies for that. It's not all fun and games. Yeah, it's a really busy time right now. I'm working on my thesis currently. It's I have a little bit of spare time, and I hope to finish this episode. It's just a lot goes into it because, again, I want to describe the map at the end of the video, which means that I kind of have to summarize some of the ideas that I had in a couple of minutes to not make it too long and all of that, but whatever. Boy. I haven't even given credit to the guy who just sang, Albin Andersson, The Fences. Great stuff. But yeah, even editing, it takes... I hate how much time editing takes. Like recording the episodes themselves, which, again, this footage is really old. That's all fun because I can do it rather mindlessly, but editing is in this weird position where you kind of have to be very conscious of what you're doing because otherwise you're going to make mistakes. And it's also very menial and repetitive and just kind of tedious. It's just there's no gratification, and the best kind of editing is the editing where people won't notice how poorly something's edited, and poor editing is where you immediately notice that there's poor editing. So it feels sort of thankless even to do so, which makes it even less satisfying to do. Oh man, I can't even imagine working on an actual film production or animation, especially. Animation's got to be a disaster of work. Usually because it's also kind of an afterthought, I assume, for studios, like CGI and all that. It's just like, well, let's just put something in there, throws a part of the budget towards a team that we outsource this project to put in the CGI and have them do it as fast as possible because, well, that's how projects usually tend to go, don't they? I mean, man, I can't imagine how that feels. Whew. So... yeah, now that it's a different time and I feel a little more level-headed and I'm not as upset. How are you? Are you okay? Good. I'm doing better now, a little bit. I got a bit of a cold, maybe you can tell by my voice. Be that as it may, whatever. Let's actually talk about what's going on in the video. So we are creating farms. Yes, the thing that we were doing last week and we're doing now. But here again in this very cool, interesting little district or township, I suppose. It's not really part of the Lusidiyya proper area because it's beyond that river with the big crevasse and the waterfall. It's on the other side of the river. This is that ghostly town, the spooky. Oh, you don't want to go over there, town. This is on the bluffs right next to the cliffs, which is the first time that I've actually ever done cliffs in the game, so that's a bit of a premiere of some sort, some kind of a new touch. This place on the whole is called Stronghold on the Bluff. It has this old fort to it where there was an old medieval township, kind of like a stronghold, obviously. So with a little town surrounding a major fort of some sort. I rhyme all the time, and it's tricky. It's tricky. Am I in the 1980s or something? What's going on? I don't like this. I get so frustrated when I talk. Yes. So as I'm saying, we're going to do a lot of forts, okay? Because I want Lusidiyya to have a lot of historical baggage, a lot of cultural heritage from its past, and just I want that to really shine through more so than it did on Trapman City, which had names to say, well, this is where the Baron used to live, and this is where the embassy used to be, and this is where the king used to live, and all that. You didn't actually get to see it because I suppose all those buildings were replaced. Here I want those old buildings to remain in a kind of juxtaposition with all the modern buildings, and this fort in particular has a unique quality to it because it's a martial settlement, and because of that it also has something that I would like to call an execution field. I'm not really coining a term here. In Dutch, or at least a southern dialect, it's called a Galgenveld, and if you're from the north, it's called a Galgenveld, which basically translates, if you literally translate it, it means a gallows field, which used to be old fields which were right outside of major towns, where criminals would be tortured to death in a very slow, humiliating, painful way, at the sight of travelers who go into the city to serve as an effigy, a message. Don't break the law here, because this will happen to you. And of course, to also send a message to the people who actually live inside of the city. We don't tolerate any deviation from what we want here. Oh, Christian civilizations, how you love to forget your past. And that's exactly what I want. Character. People always do the happy, cheery stuff. Very modern, forget the past of the city as if it didn't exist before modernity. I want that past to exist. I want it to shine through to the quality, to the character, to the fundamental aspects of this city that grew out of this history, and to not just overshadow it or to overlook it, but to live with it and to come to terms with that. What do you think? Come to Lusidiyya, visit our beautiful pearly beaches, the beautiful temples of old, and the gallows field where you'll get your head chopped off because you're a prick.
Summertime just comes around once a year, boy. Summertime just comes around once a year. And if the sun is shining down, should be inside crying, 'cause summertime just comes around once a year, boy. Let me see the sunlight on your skin, girl. Let me see the sunlight on your skin. It's getting hard, let's take it off. You get the beer, I'll find the wine. Let's feel the sunlight on our skin, girl. How the hell could you ever be depressed, boy? How the hell could you ever be depressed? The girl who you know is the best, who talks to you and her in the nest. How the hell could you ever be depressed, boy? They say to make it while the sun shines. They say to make it while it shines. I'm not making hay, but I'll make you every damn day. Go if you come back to me while the sun shines. Summertime just comes around once a year, boy. Summertime just comes around once a year. If the sun's shining, don't you be inside crying, 'cause summertime just comes around once a year, boy.
I catch myself humming that song every once in a while. Na 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 na.
Something about that melody. I don't know what it is.
Gosh, Armistead. Summertime. Cool song. I actually kind of like that one. It's kind of cheery, kind of lo-fi. Got that lo-fi vibe, but still kind of indie. Got everything that I want. Everything. Whew. Yeah. So let's talk about inspiration for a little bit. Let's talk about inspiration because I want to do that old historic thing. And why do I want to do that more so than I did before? Well, because of several things that I've been playing in the meantime while I was taking a break from all of this as well. For example, Dark Souls, which I'm currently playing Dark Souls 3. I got very much caught up on the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. What a great fight that is. But man, I just love the scenery in the game. Although it doesn't feel quite expansive like I've seen it in Dark Souls 1, for example, it does feel very grandiose and to the point where it's a little ridiculous, like in, I think, Lothric Castle. I think it's a bit much, but the Boreal Valley, for example, I think is amazing. It looks great. It looks really good. And that's something that I want to capture, that same kind of majestic feel where you just feel small. It's almost romantic in a sense, where for example, in romantic painting, human beings are just a small thing in the great godliness of the surroundings and that power that, oh God, that's just, ooh, I love that. And what I don't like about Dark Souls is that a lot of it feels very hollow and open to interpretation, which is why initially I had trouble getting into Dark Souls. Because I felt like, well, how am I supposed to take people like Smaug and Ornstein, or Ornstein, depending on how you want to read it, how am I supposed to take that seriously? It's just a bit too silly for me. The naming of the things, and it might be because it's, well, Japanese production, that it just doesn't have that same ring to it for me, so that's kind of difficult. And what I want to substitute with that, or to ameliorate that situation, is what BioWare, for example, did with Dragon Age. A lot of people don't really know what to make of Dragon Age Inquisition. I honestly think it's a great game. It's not quite like the first one. The first one is obviously everybody's favorite. It's a great game. It's honestly a fantastic game. I love that game, which is also a reason why I'm doing the Swamp Thing. What I love about that is that the lore feels a lot more fleshed out, and not completely, because the lore can change in between games, but there's just a little bit more to it. There's a little bit more, you feel like there's actual internal politics, whereas Dark Souls feels like a hack and slash game with a bit of a veneer on it, you know? And in Dragon Age, it actually feels...
Hold up. Okay, this is going to start a flame war already. I can feel it. What I'm saying here is, and you shut up now, shut up. Yes, Dark Souls, it has a story. I know it has a story, but you're simply a drone. You're not really much of a character. You're simply a means. You're a tool to fulfill the prophecy or destiny. You're just a small cog in the machine of this world that's evolving around you, that's
that's already pretty much decayed, which is why it's a really interesting concept and why it's rather counterintuitive to learn about the world. You really have to make an effort to learn about the location that you're in, and it's really open to interpretation. That's all I'm trying to say. Whereas in Dragon Age Inquisition, a world directly ties into your character because you are a character that makes choices. Again, it's an RPG as opposed to an action, not really an adventure. I don't know. I'm not a game critic. It's a different kind of game. And what I'm saying is I would love to combine those two very beautiful designs, because really what you do in those games, you walk down pretty confined corridors that feel really expansive, rich, lived in, breathing worlds. Because really they are just corridors, but they feel bigger than that. They excel at telling you, at convincing you that there's more behind the facades. That's simply something that I want to use. Both of those designs, which are similar in idea, here to create that same kind of lived-in feeling. Just override certain aspects of the world design which I personally dislike in either game. That's all I'm saying.
Adrift at sea in the searing sunlight, veering forthright toward nothingness. The ceaseless waves, they will rend and shake us. They'll bend and break us until we quit. So lay me down and let me fall apart. We're lost at sea without a chart. Wake me if we should crash ashore. But I refuse to steer her anymore. We float alone through this virgin ocean, surging motion of fate resigned. My bones are weak, slowly decomposing. The sea is closing down my mind. So lay me down and let me fall apart. Lost at sea, forget the chart. Wake me if we should crash ashore. But I refuse to steer her anymore. No hope to lose. There's no hope to lose. The infinite horizon wraps around us like a noose, but hangs so loose. Wake me if we should crash ashore. I refuse to steer her anymore. Drift at sea.
Oh my god, two great zingers in one. Josh Woodward again with Infinite Horizon. Sounds like a game as well. Isn't that a game? Wait a minute, what's that game? Ah wait, I'm thinking of Horizon Zero Dawn, that's it. Which coincidentally has a lot of Dutch named people on their production. That's curious. Oh well, I don't have a PlayStation 4, so can't play it. But yeah. Okay. So what are we doing? We're laying down the train lines on the outsides of the map, as well as the I want to say sea lines, but it's not sea lines. The boat paths, just to enter everything into the city. We'll refine all of this, especially in the city core. When it comes to the train lines, we're not really laying anything down there just yet, until we get to the specific episodes addressing those areas, because again, train lines come after the original city core. It's later development, so it makes sense to me. Mind you, we're trying to keep the train lines as flat as possible and make the curvature very small, and the upward and downward rigidity of the slopes and ramparts as small and incremental as possible, just to add a little bit of realism. Again, Central Pan City, it looked like a roller coaster in there, but no, it's a train. And obviously, it's not as easily movable, right? Seth Power. Who?
Seen this world in black and white, it's color I crave. Ooh, I too have to choose to draw myself inside these lines. Sometimes I worry, I don't care. But I hope that my heart will lead me there. Run away from everything and say I'm not scared. But when I lose at anything, you know the game hits unfair. Ooh, I too have to choose to draw myself inside these lines. Am I don't know. Sometimes I worry, I don't care. Am I
The mountain train line with the rails and all that, it took so long. So long. It's like Skibbeth trying to make a small dam. Shout out to Skibbeth. Love you, man. But, it took so long. I might not even use it, but it's all for the scenery. I don't even know if that's really a sensible thing to have a train line there. But, well, yeah, whatever. You know, it's just somewhat of a train line to something that's behind the mountain. Somewhat feasible, I suppose. I'll try to camouflage it a little bit with, I don't know, tunnels or something, which you can use in a map editor. Why? It's unreasonable. No reason can be given for that. Not one. Unless it's actually bad for the game or something. I don't know. I don't do coding or anything like that, man. Why I put it there in the first place is this idea that there was, obviously there's ores in mountains usually. Some kind of minerals, and people were mining things up, you know, and then, well, are you going to transport it back down? Well, very easy way to have that product, that raw good, those raw materials moved is with a train line from Lusidiyya to Lusidiyya, whatever it may be. Workers come, workers go, residents, citizens, everyone. You know, something like that. It's mainly just going to be used for industrial usage, though. Just trains coming from the mountains somewhere off of the screen, off of the actual map. You know, the other train lines are actually for residents, but this one is just purely industrial. Something nice, you know. What I didn't like about Szesztay Trapman City is that the train lines were mixed, so there was always one for industry and just citizens traveling around the country from city to city with the same trains on the same line, on the same rails. Clogs up every time. I remember Brickett's Point like constantly having traffic jams on the rails. How does that work? And sometimes it had to do with the curvature of the rails as well, so I'm trying to keep it all a little bit more confined, and it's definitely something that I'm trying to make less congested. Yeah. So I'll probably be confined to the game and its arithmetic that tells me that I need 50 trains every single minute, even though my infrastructure cannot handle it, but who really cares? Oh well. We'll see. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe I'll figure out another way, but I just can't stop those industrial trains. I can't control them. Why not? No, for something completely different. Remember when I was talking about the seabed, which was the the grand search that I had? I was like, where's the footage for this? Where's the footage for the seabed? Isn't that supposed to be in the second episode? But it wasn't in the second episode, and I found it, and that's why we have a third episode, and that's coming up right here. It all started with the curvature in the seabed, which I'm sure you've seen in several of the cinematic shots, and there's a cinematic bit coming up later on where you'll get somewhat of a view of it, not much, but you'll see it throughout the series because they're quite prominent. But the sandbanks that I did, for example, in Szesztay Trapman City, I wanted to redo that here in Lusidiyya, but a bit more, I don't want to say showy or overwhelming or something like that, highfalutin. I don't know. It's just, in Szesztay Trapman City, it felt like it was very tacked on, and it stayed around the contours of the Upper Peninsula a lot. And here I want to make it a little bit more sprawling, but you're probably wondering, yeah, okay, but what does it say? That's a good question. It's Not a good idea. Al-Muhaba by famous Lebanese Maronite, otherwise known as Eastern Catholic artist, poet, etc., Khalil Gibran, and it comes from his book The Prophet, which 1923 is this very interesting syncretism between the different mystic sects that you can find within the Abrahamic religions, namely Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all having the same God and having largely the same prophets. It's a bit of a controversial thing, I suppose. It's not too bad. It's just about the role of most people who are called prophets by the one not being accepted by the other or changed by the other, depending on which tradition. It's looking at which tradition within these religions that all derive from the same concept of monotheism, at least allegedly, because, of course, Judaism itself has polytheistic roots until the Babylonian exile, which is the first time that we actually have any record of the Jewish people existing, which is long after the events that are supposed to have happened in Exodus, again allegedly, because there's no evidence that it happened either.
Oh boy, I'm digging my own grave while I'm saying all of this. But what I'm saying is that it's really interesting for Khalil Gibran to say this, because Lebanon is in such a particularly strange political crossroads ever since 1861. Before then, there wasn't a lot of sectarian problems. Not really. People were friends with each other. There's records of people intermarrying between religions, so it wasn't a real big deal. But ever since 1861 and the rise of colonial interests in the Ottoman Empire, in a civil war, saying, well, we the British support the Druze, which are a sect that are not recognized as Muslims by Muslims, even though they recognize the Quran as a holy monotheistic text. And the French saying, well, we support the Maronites because they're kind of Catholic, but kind of not, which is good enough for us. Ever since then, there has been sectarian strife, which is best enshrined, I suppose, in the Lebanese construct of their government, where elected officials are elected and given positions along sectarian lines. So the president is always a Maronite. Most of the people in parliament are Sunni. Then there's a Shia group, and the Druze are usually army leaders. It's kind of odd, really, especially for somebody from that country to speak about love between all these traditions, showing that there is still a chance to live together, like was once the case. Because all this internal violence between religions is, I won't say that it's new, but it's definitely at a high pitch right now, where in the past it wasn't always the case. More often than not, it was not even a problem. It's identity politics, modern identity politics, the idea of, well, I'm not necessarily Lebanese because the country of Lebanon never existed before. I am a Maronite because my forefathers were all Maronites, or I was a Sunni Muslim because all my forefathers were Sunni Muslim. That's the big new thing that emerged since 1800 across the entire Islamic world, actually. And for Khalil Gibran, who lived around the turn of the century, from 1883 till 1931, the time wherein the division between those religions was created, when it was institutionalized, when it went from a relatively peaceful, coexisting governorship, Lebanon, part of Greater Syria, the Sanjak, Ottoman Empire, to a French mandate wherein religion was so heavily underlined in every way, from gerrymandering district borders so that historic minorities became majorities that would later on oppress the group that was dominant before them, usually the Sunnis. Just to have a poem like this that speaks up for tolerance, coexistence, getting along with each other, basically on the basis of the same roots of the tradition, which again are a little shaky, but just to have something like that, I think that's something that's can really help in creating a mutuality that can foster peace and tolerance and coexistence, etc., etc. I think that's a great thing, and but I don't see how you could disagree with that.
Water drops in the sink, the coffee blends with the ink, words keep crawling away. Been waiting for a sign, I've been staring through the blinds at a world so far from mine. I can hear laughter, I can see light, I see light, I see light. His hand goes through your hair and you smile and you smile and you smile. You're not coming home tonight. You're not coming home tonight. And you think that's all right. So I keep walking around, my bones ache, my heart pounds, I feel lost, aching to be found. I know I said I was wrong, now I know I was just playing strong. A ball and chain only last that long. I can hear laughter, I can see light, I see light, I see light. goes through your hair, and you smile and you smile and you smile. You're not coming home tonight. You're not coming home tonight. And I know that's all right. Merci.
Okay, an Arabic poem. You might wonder, why? Is that absolutely necessary? No, not really. I could have also not put it there, but otherwise it feels so empty, wouldn't it? And it just adds something that's pretty. Plus, personally, I'm very much interested in the Middle East as well as the Abrahamic religions, as I've also pointed out in Szesztay Trapman City in Avicenna Avenues, Al-Jahiz, Little Jerusalem. It's this country wherein I want to position Lusidiyya as well as Szesztay Trapman City. It's this country that's this interesting crossroads between the West and the East. And it's just... It's an idealized utopian view of how coalescence can actually exist, that it's not completely farcical and impossible, and that the past in many instances has allowed for such a coexistence, although sadly nowadays it's not to be. Who knows, it can always turn around, and I hope it does. So here we are, finally, the districts. We've been talking about it all episode, and I had many plans as to how to show you the various districts, and almost none of them worked. I couldn't find a good way to really say what I wanted to say in a time-efficient manner where I could talk about all the districts equally, because for some districts I really have more of an idea than for others, and a lot of it's still up in the air. For example, right here you see the white lines already have been fermented on the screen, and some of the parts aren't even drawn in yet, simply because I don't really quite yet have an idea for those locations, simply because they're usually in a very quirky position where they function as corridors where there's technically room for something, but who knows what. And this is where you, the audience, can jump in, and if you have any ideas. Well, okay, let's go down the list of some of the ideas that I have anyway. And if I've not said something that you've come up with, hey, let me know, man, because I'm all open for ideas. Of course, we have to start off with the big one that I've been talking about the most, and I've already shown the most of, Templetown. Templetown is also going to be the first district or quarter of the city that we're actually going to build. It has this giant acropolis kind of feeling to it. I really wanted to go for something Mediterranean with the entire district. You'll come to find that out pretty soon. It has this really cool temple. I try to fit in the Colosseum. Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's kind of like this old ancient town square, which is in this strange perturbed position of being forced to expand and to grow and to become modern and still adhere to old ancient styles because of the cultural heritage and the importance of the historical site. That problem extends to the district above and below Templetown. Here on the image, the one above being the Forbidden Temple, which is this even older ancient site, slightly inspired by Angkor Wat. I'm still trying to come up with something very unique for this location, so it's all a bit tentative, just like the naming of the other district that I was talking about, Eroica Crossroads, which is also quelled by the problem of modernity. Which way are we going to go? Is it feasible to maintain what's old and what not? This is also the center of most of the important museums. Right below it, you'll find the Blessed Pavilion, which is this major park that I want to build on this very nice pond with these rivers extending out of it. Very cute, very lovely, just a place to take your mind off of things. To the right of that, you'll find the Sovereign Square, which is the houses of government, easily put. Down the coast, you'll find more of the merchant quarters, the old harbor,
as well as the Citadel, which is now the place of the Lusidiyya University. A very interesting strategic hill, which no longer serves any function. Below that, you have the weird Eiffel Tower-shaped isle. This is the Isle of Tranquility, again, tentative name, where it's basically a giant graveyard. The further down you go, the proverbial Shear's End, the more economic you'll find the city. It's really the economic heart of the city, where you'll find the major skyscrapers that give Lusidiyya its some of its character, not all of it. The island next to the peak with a giant beach has a marina on it, just an interesting location. Above it you'll find something called Jade, which is a Chinese-inspired park, just to utilize something different, you know, international cool cultural stuff. Right next to that is the Florican, which I would describe as the hipster neighborhood. It's really high-tech, modern, blocky type of stuff that you wouldn't find anywhere else in this city. Then there's the airport on a separate aisle so that it doesn't bump into skyscrapers or mountains. Above it you'll find the medieval mercantile part of the city, Flav, which is obviously heavily inspired off of Venice. Right below it is the vacation isle, similar to Trapman Island in Trapman City. And to the west of it, you'll find the Pointy Isle, which is the island that carries the prison of Lusidiyya. Going further up, there is again the stronghold on the bluff, which is already much talked about. Following that is the film studio, which is on the very ridge before that giant waterfall, which is the chasm, otherwise known as the sacred mystery or the refuge, across which is a plateau from which you can perfectly view this area. It's kind of a tourist trap, I suppose. So yeah, it's a nice place in the mountains. To the east of that, you'll find a valley where I want to put that Hollywood, Beverly Hills kind of area with the mansions in the mountain. Privileged to live, of course, right next to the best kept castle of Lusidiyya. On the east coast, which I have not really touched upon yet, is obviously the giant quarry with, what else? The industrial zone of the city, which, unlike Trapman City, will only be confined on the east bank of the flourishing river. Yes, that's the name that I've given the river. On this eastern coast, you will also find a very important industrial tech area, the developmental technology area, as well as Cape Harbor, where I'll put an actual harbor, which is not necessarily just fun marina stuff. And then there is the string of isles that you'll find down below, of which the functions I am not yet sure. The remaining areas are suburban-esque neighborhoods with all unique sort of qualities, which I would like to go into, but I already feel like this is going on a bit long. If you guys do want to know more about these things and want a more thorough introduction to these areas, please let me know in the comments whether or not I should fashion such a video. And otherwise, we'll touch upon these districts as they naturally come up throughout the series. Anywho...
When I am no more, I will still be. When I am no more, I will be still. Freedom, freedom is the way to go. When I am no more. When I am no more, I will sing now. When I am no more, I will now sing. go when I am no more. When I am no more, I will fall free. When I am no more, I will free fall. Freedom, freedom is the way to go. When I am no more, freedom, freedom is the way to go. When I am no more, when I am no more.
Hey, wait. You're actually still here. Wow, that's remarkable. Wow. Okay. Not too boring, or I mean, I wanted to give you a chance to look at the map that we've been making for like 3 hours, at least from your side of the screen. 3 hours shy of 30 minutes of map creation. All that we're looking at here, done in 3 hours. I wish it actually was only 3 hours of work. Even this video itself took more than 3 hours of work in editing. Terrible. Oh man, it's finally done. Can you believe it? I can hardly believe it myself. It just took so long, and these videos have been quite a hurdle. I've been pushing them back and back simply because I get worried that they're a bit too boring and I don't know what to really make of them. But hey, at least you enjoyed it, so thanks for trudging through them. From here on out, it should be easier. We'll just focus on smaller districts inside of those districts that I just mentioned, just like small parts. Divide those districts up in several ways so that every week we can have something interesting to look at, a small little project within a district, and slowly but surely fill out the rest of the entire map. All good things must come to an end. And I'm kind of glad that the map creation is over now. The following video after this one will be a cinematic of the actual map creation that you can just watch separately, which is part of the new format, which I explained in the first video. So because the map is sort of its own kind of special project, it's now finished. I'm going to do a separate video with an end song, just an end song with cinematics, and I'm going to put that out. And after that, we'll start constructing, and we'll begin with Temple Town. The first one, as I said, it's I'm looking forward to it. You got a sneak shot of it in the trailer of the series, of course. Pretty nifty, pretty cool. Hope to see you there. And while you're still here, let me thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed all of this. It's been quite a ride. I had a riot. I had a great time, and if you did as well, be sure to hit that like, leave a comment down below, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you make sure that you know when the next videos are coming up, and please be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms, link in the description, and support me on Patreon. Yeah, but for real though, thank you for watching, honestly. I do really appreciate it, and if you have any ideas, please let me know. There's so much room for improvement and little adjustments and just space that still needs to be filled. It's more the thing that I just laid out. It's kind of like a blueprint, you know. Things still have to be fitted into the actual geography. So if you have any ideas, something that I didn't come up with, let me know, and I'll curate your ideas and put them on a list. And then who knows? I might be able to fit it in somewhere. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.